JP, how are you doing today?
I'm doing just fine.
Wonderful. I am Johanna Chesboon. I am the Director of Vendor Management for CAMS. And today in our Trusted Service Provider webinar, we have JP McDonald. He is our VP of the Building Environmental Consultants and Scientists. And he is here to talk to you a little bit about why it is important to have your buildings inspected. And I'll let you, JP, go into a little bit about that. Please introduce yourself as well. We'll get into the topic here.
Great. So my name is JP McDonald. I'm one of the partners at Building Envelope Consultants. We are a full structural consulting firm, pretty much on the whole East Coast, but we have 3 offices in North and South Carolina. Today we're going to talk about existing buildings and how to assess them and kind of some common problems, issues that we see, and how we communicate those issues and how we assist an HOA or property management firm repair those.
That's fantastic. That's a wonderful topic for us right now, especially in light of recent events back in Florida. What was it, in 2021, the collapse of that condo association, and how the federal regulations have really mandated some stronger structural integrity to our requirements for buildings. So I'm really looking forward to learning more about this from you. So without further ado, let's dive in.
All right, let me share my screen here. All right, I think we're all connected here. We good to go?
Yeah, we are
Okay.
good.
So yeah, just going through some slides here. So this is me, JP McDonald, Vice President Partner at BECS. I'm going to just kind of give an outline of what a building envelope assessment is and go through about 5 different project examples. I think that's the best way to kind of communicate and understand what it is we do. A lot of times we are brought in because there's an issue. You know, either there is some concrete that has fallen off of a balcony, or some bricks that look suspect, there's some cracking, or there's some settling in a structure of some sort, or there is water intrusion issue causing bulk water issues, or maybe some condensation issues causing mold or whatnot. And really, we are experts in everything the building envelope. So that's the outside of the building, the skin of the building, both the walls, below grade, and the roof. And typically we go out and interview the staff, interview the property management group, interview tenants, HOA members, as to what the problems are. We compile all of that. If there are original drawings, we dive into those drawings to see how the building was originally constructed. And then we get hands-on on the building on site. That could be either with just a camera, a 40x zoom camera from the ground, or that could be with a drone, or that could be hands-on with us on a single rope access, rappelling off the building, really getting hands-on, kind of feeling the building and understanding what the issues are. Sometimes there are investigative probes that are done, either by ourselves or with a contractor, and that's dissecting the building, either with clapboard siding or bricks, taking bricks off of the building and really trying to figure out what the problem is. Problems could be construction defects from original construction, or another issue, just a design flaw in the building. After that investigation is done, we communicate what the issues are, why the issue that's happening, why it happened, and present kind of a good, better, best solution. to our client. And that could be both in a detailed report or in a presentation or both. In that report would be cost estimates for what a contractor would cost to perform those repairs, and kind of what the next steps are to move forward to fix the repairs. After that step, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, would you be able to put together an RFP for our community association so that when the problem is identified, they can feel pretty confident about what to put together when they're putting it out to bid with contractors and or what have you, whatever the issue may be appropriate for?
Absolutely. Actually, the next step is for us to design the repair. So
Okay.
that is putting together drawings and specifications, and we put that together, and we call that the project manual, and that's also a bid form, and that is then put out to bid, typically to a select few contractors that we know are good at performing those repairs, that are specialized in masonry or specialized in waterproofing. And that's the RFP. So that's going out to contractors for us to get typically 3 to 5 prices from a contractor. Then the next step
That's
is
even a step above an RFP. If you're designing the repair for them, that's fantastic. Takes a lot of the guesswork out of it and builds the confidence within the board members that are needing this to have some level of complexity.
Yeah. And then, we sit down with the board, and sometimes when we look at the bids, the lowest bid might not be the best bid, and sometimes highest bid might be too high, and it's something in the middle, or sometimes it is the lowest bidder. So we don't stop there. We want to make sure that we have a turnkey experience for the property management group or the board, and we make sure that we're there throughout construction so that the repairs are done properly. And we're not a GC, we're an engineering firm, so we're there just to make sure that how we describe the repairs to be performed, that they're done properly.
Wonderful.
And whatnot. So yeah, let's just go through some examples. Here is kind of a high rise in Raleigh that is really a construction defect problem. Initially there's some cracking and whatnot involved in the bricks. So first we repelled the whole building to kind of get a good look at the structure. We decided that we wanted to do some probes in the building and found out, like, wow, this is called a water resistant barrier, and there's some major discontinuities between that and the backup wall, and causing bulk water intrusion, which also causes some structural cracking and whatnot. That's a common issue.
That looks like that's part of the balcony. Do you happen to notice there being more issues with balconies?
Yeah, balconies are kind of typically a systemic issue. The transition between not all balconies have a traffic coating, a waterproof traffic coating on top, and the transition between maybe the sliding glass doors or the fenestrations and the balcony is an issue. And then, as you see here on the left, a lot of times aluminum railings are not properly maintained. They're installed in grout pockets, and we have freeze thaw or some issues with the concrete in general from original construction, and we have spalling occurring, where this is a safety hazard for people below. This was above a parking garage below that 18-story building, and so this is a major concern. So we would figure out. So we would figure out what the problem, why is this cracking, and why is this happening? What's the repair, and communicate that on how to fix that. So here's another example of kind of an ocean, close to the ocean problem. And again, a construction defect. This was a bulk water intrusion issue. And as you can see, this is probably the worst job I've seen, where we have commercial building wrap, Tyvek, or similar type product that was not detailed into the window transition at all. So as you can imagine, when it rains and this brick wall gets inundated with wind-driven rain.
Yeah. Water intrusion right behind that.
Issue.
That's awful.
Yeah, yeah. So this is kind of not as common, but sometimes when there is water intrusion, it's not just adding more sealant to the exterior veneer or the exterior facade. Usually things, when you start to see water, is that those sealants break down and there's a bigger problem behind the wall.
Yeah.
Exterior walls or cladding, brick and clapboard siding are designed that if any water gets behind that, the building is still 100% waterproof, or it's supposed to be.
Yep.
So that's a common that's a common issue. Here's just different examples of through-hole flashing repairs that were done on this project. Here on the left is just again that brick facade that we saw on the right. This is an EFIS system where we needed to transition that window into that EFIS system. Sometimes you need to reclad the whole building, but again, there's good, better, best solutions to solve the problem.
Now, what is something that either a homeowner or a property owner from the interior could see that could help to identify something like that? I mean, would mold be one of the first things they would look for?
Yeah, I think things to keep track of are, we have one project that has a condensation issue, which is not a bulk water issue, but is causing water damage on the inside.
I'm sure you'd be seeing cracking and settling problems and
trying to really identify, is the water coming through the window, or is it coming from above the window? Usually if it's coming from above the window, it's a wall issue or a through-wall flashing issue at hand, and it has nothing to do with the window. Windows get a bad rap a lot of times, and usually they're not the problem. And sometimes they are. Yeah, sometimes they are. One thing to note is that windows have performance ratings. So if you have a hurricane that comes through and you have wind-driven rain at 80-mile-an-hour winds, those windows are not designed to withstand that hurricane for water performance. And so your windows may leak during that hurricane, and you think it's a big issue, and it is an issue, but they just weren't from the original construction. They weren't designed to perform through that water storm. They were designed not to break in that hurricane, but not to withstand that water in that hurricane. So that's something that's always an issue. Here is a more historic building that we get involved in quite a bit, where you can see on the right here, this is myself taking this photo, and you can see all the displacement in these terracotta units. That is just very frightening, where this is a fall hazard. And really, this could be prevented from, an annual inspection, or even an inspection once every 5 years, to make sure that we don't get to the point where this is an issue. Because if you're on Main Street or anywhere where people are, or even buildings that are attached to other buildings, or you have fall hazards over roofs, this is an issue. And so, as you can see, here's kind of
brave getting up there.
Yeah, well, we think it's fun, So here's we're right near that corner on this photo here, and you can see all the rusted steel angle supports that were behind that cornice, and we are well beyond maintaining this. We need to kind of tear all this out and figure out how to put this back structurally sound. And that's what we do. We kind of figure this out and communicate what the damage is and whatnot. So that's one thing. So here's a very cool high-rise building in Charlotte that we did a lot of different repairs on. On the right here, here's a common, really difficult issue for homeowners. If you have freeze thaw on your aluminum railings and you start getting failures or bulging or cracking in your handrails, technically this is structurally deficient. It's been permanently deformed, and these handrails may possibly need to be replaced. And that could be a kind of a high dollar item, because typically it's owner controlled element. And so this is something to look out for. How this is prevented typically is, making sure that your handrails are being maintained and prevent water from getting in here to reduce
That's
that. But if
almost
that
hard
does,
to notice that image. I mean, you see the crack and it's almost right in line of the seam of that corner there.
yeah, you'll see
It's
sometimes
so
the
important
paint,
to have those inspections.
the
To
paint
do
might
that.
peel away, and that's kind of a red flag, but it'll bulge, so
Okay.
you kind of see this bulging.
They're a little more noticeable than that.
Yeah. On one of our normal inspections, this is the same building. I looked over the edge of the parapet, looked down, and here on the left saw this, this chunk of concrete that looks like it's going to fall off this 36-story high-rise building, right? So that's a huge red flag.
Yes.
Emergency. We need to get on. We need to see what's happening right away on this unit. It turned out that this was a unsupported kind of inset with some concrete that was not supported with any sort of reinforcement, and all leaf needed to be removed right away. When we were there, here's a cool video. We saw that there was some moisture in the post-tensioned pockets that are these little round circles here.
Oh yeah.
And here's a little video of that. So you can see above, we were chipping away that little inset there, and then we ran into this. And
Oh my
so
God.
wow, you see all this water just coming
Yeah.
out of this post-tension pocket. So that's very bad.
Yeah,
and
that's not supposed to happen.
Yeah, that's just water getting absorbed into the wall and getting kind of trapped in that pocket. So when we opened up this pocket, we noticed, where's the grease cap? There's supposed to be a plastic cap with grease in it to protect these steel strands of the post-tension strands, and it wasn't there. And so what ended up happening was we did a little, see, I'm trying to go to a different slide here. Here it is on the left.
Wow.
We ended up opening up, say, 20 more, and about 50% of them didn't have these grease caps, which were required by the building code from original construction. And we ended up doing a maintenance repair job where all the exposed PT pockets in the entire building were opened up and were maintained. They were coated, grease caps were put on, and grout was put back on. This is a major issue because if those strands did fail, those strands are under tension inside of the building. So you would need to find where that strand broke on the inside of the building and chip out inside the unit. It's a massive, difficult, costly repair. And so if you have rust on the side of your building, you really should have that inspected so that you don't have some massive repair on your hands.
So that the rust on the building and seeing those swirling marks would be a pretty good telltale sign of something like that occurring.
If you have, kind of water swirl marks here, or some rust coming out, definitely rust, either on your balcony edges. These are from some nails, but it could also be from the wire strands on the inside. So if you have evidence of that, then you should definitely get that inspected. So here's just a coastal project. This is an EFIS system that blew off in one of the recent hurricanes or high wind storms. And the reason that this blew off was because, this is an older building, probably 40 years old, and it's an EFIS system, which is exterior insulation system, and it's been painted probably, 8 times over its lifespan.
At least.
And you have to maintain that paint, and if you have sealant joints and cracks and whatnot, eventually you're going to have water intrusion into the system, and that water intrusion slowly erodes the connection of that EFIS system to the backup studs, and that can become detached. And then if you get a big windstorm, the windstorm literally will suck off your cladding on your building, and then you end up with an issue like this. So So again, an inspection of your exterior, understanding if it's a drainable eave system or a variable eave system. If it is a variable eave system, then the paint and the coating is very important to maintain. Yeah.
How often do you think painting needs to be done on a building like that with so close to the water, the ocean,
Yeah, I mean, it
coastal
depends. There's
waves?
different level performance of paints
Yeah,
and
that's true.
coatings. You know, we call them coatings, and so it really depends. And I mean, it could be, you know, every 10 years or even more if it's properly prepped and properly done. You know, so you get some long lifespan. If it's not properly done, it could, you know, I mean, it could have a short lifespan of 3 years
Yeah.
or whatnot. Yeah.
That's a good
Um,
blanket answer for anything, right? It depends. It
yeah.
kind of depends on what quality sealant you're using and how often it's being reviewed and how close you are to the ocean. How many hurricanes do you have throughout the year?
Yeah.
There's so many things that play into that variable that that makes sense.
So we also get into garages since we're kind of forensic structural engineers here. We're everything concrete structures. We definitely get into assessing garages and whatnot. On the left here, this was from that original construction defect condo, kind of mid-rise, high-rise there, where we noticed some cracking on the parking deck. And you know, cracking's okay, you know, concrete cracks, but when you have a lot of cracking and there's, you know, we identified a pattern of kind of a punch pattern of cracking. We then brought out GPR to find out if we have enough rebar reinforcement in the parking deck just in general. And in this case, we did not. And so the garage was structurally deficient from just a general building code standpoint for the loads from original construction. So we ended up needing to strengthen certain columns on this garage to kind of bring it up to the design that it needed to be. And that's pretty unique, but it can happen. But just from a normal assessment of seeing cracks, can figure that out, which is interesting. And then on the right here is just more of a drastic. You should not get to this point in this garage. You know, where this is we need shoring immediately. No cars can park here.
Yeah.
You know, this is
any type of load in there
this
right
is a
now.
concern. So this is just an example of, you know, if you get to the point, you can have your garage shut down, which is a nightmare. Then you have to find people parking for all your tenants and whatnot. So just an example of what you don't want to have happen there. So to repair this, you actually have to shore this area. You know, this is on the 5th floor. You have to put shoring all the way down to the ground, which is kind of a big pain. And then once you have that shoring in place, you can chip out this concrete and I mean, that's it for my examples. You know, so BECS at large, you know, we're from Pittsburgh all the way down to Tampa and Jacksonville, Florida. We are what's called designers of record for existing buildings. So we figure out what's wrong with buildings and repair them. We also do a lot of new construction consulting as well, and we are an accredited third-party testing agency, and we get into building envelope commissioning. Yeah, so just some recent restoration projects that we don't always work for HOAs. We do a lot of HOA work, but we're also on some great prominent projects at Duke University, Wake Forest University, historic projects in Raleigh, and government buildings in Asheville, new construction jobs. We get into some fun work at hospitals.
Oh, wow, that's beautiful.
UNC Chapel Hill and downtown high rises.
You do it all. Condos, townhomes. High rise, commercial.
It's a good mix of understanding how to repair buildings and how to make recommendations on new buildings as they go up. So
that's great. That's great. I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us today about this topic. It's so important on so many levels, just to make sure that for, safety first and foremost, and that we are able to communicate with our homeowners and property owners of what to look forward to. It gives board of directors the ability to budget for needed expenses, even on a reserve study capacity, that they're looking to budget out and forecast what type of expenses they're going to need in any given time period. This is great information. If somebody wanted to reach out to you, how would they do that?
Sure. I mean, we have a website, BECS MD for Maryland. Our headquarters is in Maryland, so BECSMD.com.
Okay.
And I'm sure they can reach out to you and find us and whatnot. But we're in Wilmington, we're in Raleigh, we're in Charlotte, we're in Myrtle Beach.
All 9 of our CAMS regions through North and South Carolina.
Yep.
Great.
So, yeah.
Well, you've been a great part of our trusted service provider program. Our partnership with you has been very successful, and you've helped numerous communities that we've encountered having issues in their buildings, being able to put RFPs together, designing repairs for us, and going back to giving the confidence that our board members and homeowners need to make the next steps. And that's half the battle right there.
Thank you.
The unknown can be very scary, and being able to have the know-how to move forward is everything. So thank you for everything that you do, and we appreciate your partnership with us.
Great. Thanks for having me.
Yep. Thank you.